Good day and welcome to this edition of Focus here on McMinnville Public Radio 91.3 WCPI. This is Bill Zeckman, one of the volunteer producers at WCPI, and also welcoming our friends at BLTV. Tammy Vincent with us today. Good to see you, Tammy, operating the camera and the sound. Happy to be conversing with some really bright, knowledgeable, and effective people in our community doing some of the most essential and impactful work that's going on in our society today. We're going to be talking about one of the most, I guess you might say, undervalued, underappreciated gifts on God's earth, and that's the ground we stand on, the soil. It's more than just a place to plant our feet, to build our buildings. The soil, if it's rich and robust and vibrant, if it is vital, it gives life to the plant world. And the plant world, of course, supports the animal kingdom. I'm talking today to Tim Ross, who is outreach coordinator with Conscious Planet, which is an entity which is integral to the Isha Institute of Inner Sciences. And the program is called Save Soil. Save Soil. I guess, Tim, we haven't much thought about saving soil because it's all around us. And that's why I say it is often undervalued. But without soil, where would we be? And the other issue is without soil that has the nutrients and the properties needed to sustain life. Your organization has been sounding a warning for the last several years that the agricultural soils on our planet are degraded and being further degraded, and this could spell disaster, not just ecological disaster, but societal disaster if we don't do something about it. What is the status of the world's agricultural soil?
And Bill, thanks for the introduction and the kind words there, a great lead-in. The status of the world's soil is a bit bleak, right? At the moment, 52% of the world's soil is already degraded. 50% of North American soil is currently degraded, and by degraded I mean the soil has essentially turned from soil state to a sand state. If I take
from soil to sand.
If I take sand, Bill, and I add organic matter, which comes from one of two sources, animal waste or plant waste, eventually it will turn into soil. If I take healthy soil and strip away the organic content, it will degrade into sand. So that's what's happening around the globe for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons being the last 100 years or so of agricultural practices where synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, harmful chemicals, as well as the result of a lot of heavy-duty tillage, digging deep into the land, turning it over, spilling it back to create nice seed beds, but it comes at the expense of many things, many essential things and properties with the soil, including the organic matter composition, as well as the microbial life that lives in the soil, which is extremely important for its regenerative capabilities. You can't have healthy soil without all the microbial life that lives in it. 1 teaspoon of healthy soil contains around 5 to 7 billion microorganisms. And so the condition of the soil today is a bit bleak. 95% of the food that we produce on the planet comes from soil. So we can't have healthy and delicious food without it. And so the mission of Save Soil is quite simply to save the soil, to restore it so that we can get the organic matter composition up to acceptable levels based on regional conditions. There's no blanket solution. You have to look at the crops that the individual farmers are growing. You have to look at the topography and the geography where they are, the climate. Many things go into it. But the fundamental, most important thing when talking about the health of the soil is looking at how much organic matter is there. Past 100 years or so, I would say farming is mostly been concerned with yield over quantity, yield over quality. And I think it's time to figure out ways and policies that we can make the best of both worlds, right? We can make healthy and delicious food while at the same time providing for the livelihoods of the farmers, getting more money in their pockets, as well as get obviously restoring the soil back to the condition that it needs to be to create more healthful food. When I talk about healthful food, talking to the extent of an 80 to 90% reduction over the past 100 years in the nutritional value of produce.
Well, make sure I got it right. 80 to 90% reduction in the nutritional value. We're talking about fruits and vegetables?
Yes, sir. Anything that is coming from the farms, anything that's grown out of the soil. The simple example that I use is if I want to get the same level of nutrition from an orange from 1920, I'd have to eat about 8 oranges today to get that same nutrition. So, Conscious Planet houses the Save Soil movement. The other thing that is at the forefront of all of our minds that we've been talking about at Isha is mental health. The reason I bring that up now, Bill, is because those two things are inextricably linked. They're directly correlated. We can't really have as a world, as a globe, the vitality and the strength of our mental health that we need without also having vital and healthy soil. So that's another reason why we're putting soil at the priority here, even above some of the other items that you alluded to in your lead-in, including air pollution, climate change, carbon emissions, water scarcity. If we first address soil, all of those other things that I just mentioned will slowly, or even not so slowly, even quickly, start to automatically resolve themselves. But soil needs urgent and immediate action.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure some people have calculated or estimated the cost of synthetic fertilizer that we use. A lot of this made from natural gas. It's a lot of it is a petroleum product. There are some natural minerals, the potash and things like this. But we look at the total cost of all of that. And we've talked to farmers and representatives of the farm community about the cost of their inputs, they call it. What they put into the process on the front end and during the process before they have a harvest that they can go to market. It seems to me, Tim, that farmers are the ones kind of left holding the bag here because they have to pay whatever the price is, the market demands for those inputs, including fertilizer, and then they're exposed to the vicissitudes and uncertainty of markets when they sell their produce, and particularly with the, shall we say, chaos in international trade right now, this could get to be an issue. So is it possible, is it within the realm of possibility for farmers to practice what they call regenerative agriculture, to take farm waste products and digest those somehow, put them back into the soil? Is there some way to reduce our dependence on chemical fertilizer?
Absolutely, I would say, Bill. And I'll talk about it in the context of climate change and carbon emissions. One of the things that we've been messaging within the Save Soil campaign is that, if we're able to make the soil healthier, bring back the organic content through these regenerative agricultural practices, through agroforestry or tree-based agriculture, then our dependence on synthetic fertilizers can go down. And like you said, a lot of those synthetic fertilizers are using fossil fuels. So that's one of the reasons why, boosting the health of the soil can do wonders for air pollution and those types of things, as well as, planting trees. Right? Mm-hmm. They work towards the same thing. But going back to these regenerative agriculture measures, there are a few of them that we've been championing and training farmers on, if they're not already doing it. This isn't something that this isn't necessarily a new thing. These types of practices have been around for a while. It's just that modern agriculture sometimes throws them aside at the for convenience and for
our
yield
agricultural economy has settled into a certain set of practices.
Yes,
and because we've done it for a long time, we have fairly ready access to the chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides. So we've kind of become dependent. But if we start thinking maybe in a little bit of a different direction, sort of out of the box thinking, we can reduce reliance on those things. Is that right? I just want to make sure I'm clear on this.
I agree, and we really have no choice because a lot of those same fertilizers that are synthetic that you're talking about. Let's take Roundup or glyphosate, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the pests, they can develop a resistance.
So a tolerance, yeah.
Exactly. Over the years, that has already started to happen. That already has happened. So we'll need to come up with new ways of fertilizing our crops anyway. One natural method that is used in India with some success is neem oil. Here I've heard of fish emulsion working really well as a natural fertilizer, as a nitrogen booster. So we will anyway be forced to think of alternative ways to do things. But let's take another example in the context of tilling. Because tilling for many years has been very commonplace.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes these tills can go down as far as 8 to 16 inches. They plow up the land, bring it up, create a nice seed bed. But the more natural way to do it, and the way that is much better for the soil in terms of having it retain its regenerative properties and having it retain its microbial life and organic matter, is to not till.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least
called the no-till farming alternative. Yeah.
Alternative, or at least to use reduced tillage,
Yeah. Yeah.
Which can be in the form of a disc or a chisel till, and not the big one that goes down all that way. It creates a lot of destruction. Now, tilling is very good for specific. If I have a hill on the land,
Mm-hmm.
or if I have I forget the technical term for it. It can be used effectively.
Using contour.
Contour.
Yeah.
That's right. But simply sowing the seeds by using a tool to poke holes in the ground is a much healthier alternative and can be done just as effectively. And so that's one simple way that farmers can use to improve the health of their soil and their agricultural land, and potentially reduce the input costs. A lot of the smallholder farmers might be hesitant to do it because they're maybe a little bit resistant to change in terms of the way they've been doing things for many years.
They would be facing some risk, not having tried this before.
Correct. So it's on us as a campaign, working with various organizations and governments to create a policy that can, better incentivize farmers to take up these types of practices.
Okay. I think your organization, you spoke, of course, to the Rotary Club of McMinnville earlier in June as a representative of the Save Soil initiative, and you made the point that for farmers in our present agricultural economy, the suicide rate among farmers is among the highest of any vocation. And I guess we can understand that because they face risks from weather, from pests, from market fluctuations. Economically, it is a risky thing to do. Even for young farmers who inherit the farm, their cost of agricultural machinery, mm-hmm. we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases for one piece of machinery.
Easily, Bill, yes.
And just upkeep of farm buildings, things of this sort. It's a high risk thing. If I understand this correctly, Save Soil does have an interest, does have a component of education for farmers designed to help them deal with those risks and get involved in regenerative agriculture. Do I have that right?
You do, Bill. The Save Soil movement is three-pronged. One aspect is awareness campaigns. One aspect is policy advocation. And the third aspect is we are also on the ground with farmers worldwide, specifically in India, in the United States with our technical teams. I'm not, directly involved with that, Bill, but we are on the ground, listening to them and training them on these regenerative agricultural methods and also agroforestry, and taking into account their specific needs and the land that they're on, the specific crops that they want to grow. The reason I got involved in this movement if I could just talk about it, is that the basic premise of farming is such a beautiful thing. Because as a farmer, you're able to, from your own land, be 100% self-sustaining in terms of your food needs. Mm-hmm. And any surplus goes back to the community. And hopefully, if it's working correctly, draws a profit. Mm-hmm. That is beautiful to me. That's a cycle that we need to uphold. That's the basic premise of farming, is that 100% self-sustaining. You don't need to rely on anything else but your own land and your own competence to produce the food that you need for your family and your loved ones, and then any surplus goes to the community. But it's becoming tougher and tougher to do that as a occupation worldwide. Many reasons for that. You alluded to some of them. The barriers to entry are there, especially if I'm not inheriting anything. Mm-hmm. In terms of the cost of the equipment, a tractor can be anywhere up to, a new tractor could be $250,000, $300,000 easily. Combine harvester could be anywhere from $100,000 to $800,000, depending on if I'm buying new or used. I've got seeders, I've got planters, I've got to get a pickup truck, I've got to get an AV, I've got to get a whole complement of tools. If I'm looking at, the average size farm in Tennessee is 170 acres, which is a pretty big plot of land. So I got to get a lot of stuff to be able to make a living off of that land. So sometime along the way, there's going to be probably some debt financing that needs to happen. And one common thing that we're seeing is to secure that loan, the banks will place a lien on the property, mm-hmm. such that
it's just the normal banking practice. Sure,
correct.
They have a security interest.
Correct. They need to do that to look out for their own risk, and but like you alluded to, there's a lot of risks, especially in today's world with the unpredictable weather patterns that we're seeing in terms of floods and droughts, and the personal life situations of the farmers in terms of young people just don't want to take this occupation up. They see what their parents go through. They see what other farmers are going through. Average age of the farmer in Tennessee is 59 years old. That's a bit alarming.
Getting sort of within retirement range.
Correct.
Time to be thinking about retirement.
Correct. So it's something that we need to look at. Something we need to make the profession more lucrative and more attractive to younger people. As we
see the number of family farms declining steadily over a period of time, this has been a phenomenon in Tennessee. Is it fair to say that farming is a closed occupation? Because if you wanted to start from scratch, you weren't going to inherit a farm, you didn't have the land, the buildings, the equipment, that just the cost of financing this would be more than what your production could yield. Is that fair to say?
I think.
We could invest a lot of businesses that have a whole lot less risk and a whole lot shorter payback period and return on investment.
I think from the data that what we're seeing worldwide, Bill, and that the majority of farmers out there are having trouble breaking even. Most of them are not running a profit. Most of them are in the red. So based on that data, I would say what you're saying is accurate. There's just a ton of risk. If somebody wants to take up farming, and there's a passion, and there is a lot of guidance and education, and then there's the needed help, then and you have a plan for how you're going to start it up. You get debt financing, or you're going to finance it yourself. How are you going to do that? If all that is there, I wouldn't turn anybody away from it.
Well, no, and I don't say this to discourage anybody, but I'm sure anybody going in, taking on that proposition would study it carefully. We're going to run out of time, but I want to talk about at least one of the other pillars, as you described it when you spoke to the Rotary Club earlier in June. One of the issues, one of the ramifications of depletion of soil, agricultural soil, is migration, population migration, which can lead to conflict, which can lead to famine and starvation, possibly mass movements of people. Particularly, I think we're seeing this, and we've already seen the conflict, the armed conflict that results in sub-Saharan Africa. Mm-hmm. In some places in Central Asia, we're seeing this. And it's just a desperately horrific situation, when you see villages being burned to the ground, their populations essentially slaughtered, and just civilization being destroyed piece by piece because of, here again, resource competition.
That's right.
And the world population is right now continuing to grow, not in the industrialized part of the world, but in the underdeveloped part of the world. So it seems to me like with that calculation and that risk hanging over our heads, protecting the soil has gotten a whole lot more important to us.
Well said. I totally agree. I think out of the 6 pillars that I mentioned, food, water, climate, biodiversity, livelihood, and conflict and migration, which can also be termed as world peace, I think that last one, conflict and migration, might be the scariest to me, because we're talking about people that have been living in a certain area their whole lives, and suddenly the land is no longer producing, and they have to just get up and leave. Where are they going to go? They have nowhere to go. Nobody's going to welcome them with open arms. We're talking billions of people that if things continue the way they're going, by 2050, over 1 billion people will be forced to migrate. So how are we going to deal with that? Nobody knows. Nobody has a plan for where 1 billion people could go, no matter where it is. It could be Africa, it could be Asia, it could be North America. So I think that is the pillar that might scare me the most.
Mm-hmm. We have seen in the conflicts in much of the world how a conflict in one place, for instance, in North Africa, and what started as the Arab Spring, and then we had issues over if you got into Syria with the Assad regime, and the I'd have to say genocidal bloodlust of the al-Assads, seemingly to imprison or murder as many of their own people as possible, and the flight of people going to other places. They went into Eastern Europe. They crossed over from Hungary into Germany, and they're in France, and they're causing terrific political instability. These migrations, simply because of the pressure because of political and resource issues in other parts of the world. It's sort of like dominoes. And yeah, that conflict, it spreads around the globe.
Agreed. And the other aspect on top of what you're talking about is just the personal experiences and plights and just awful things that individual people go through when they're forced to do these migrations, especially women and children. Just so nobody wants to see that, and we have the only solution is to get, if we want to focus on Africa in this example, their land, I think on average in sub-Saharan Africa is degraded to the extent that the organic matter is below 1%. 3%.
And for a benchmark for normal productive soil, it would be organic matter would be what percentage?
The bare minimum to be able to call soil is 3%.
And they're 3%. Down to 1%.
They're down below 1%.
Okay, so they basically are farming in sand.
So they're basically, sub-Saharan Africa is basically, desertified. So the next question is, well, is it possible to reverse that? It is, but the more it's degraded, the longer it takes to reverse it. That's why urgent action is needed now, and that's why Safe Soil is making this a priority.
One last thing I want to talk about, and we just have a couple of minutes. One of the other pillars that you mentioned in your Rotary talk was climate change, and although we don't think about it, like I said in the introduction, we undervalue soil. We have that expression, dirt poor. Well, that's doing disservice to dirt, really. Good dirt is worth something. But you said that dirt not only provides the nutrients and the substrate, the foundation, the mechanism for bringing water up through the roots into plants, but it's also a carbon dioxide sink. It's also taking carbon dioxide, the excess in our atmosphere, and sequestering it in the soil. Not just the plants, because I think we understand the respiratory cycle for green plants,
Yes.
but the soil itself taking in carbon dioxide. I just want to make sure I've got this right.
You have it 100% correct, and that was one of the exciting things that I was able to learn about soil too. I think that the two things that excite me about soil the most is that its amazing properties with water and with carbon. Just quickly with water, its ability with the if it's porous enough and healthy enough, and the necessary organic matter is there, to be able to absorb it, filter it, and store it for a while, and then gradually release it is
Sort of like a
tremendously
sponge.
key. Sort of like a sponge.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a life giver, it's a life sustainer. It's been passed down by Mother Earth for millennia. And the aim of the Save Soil movement, I forget if I've mentioned it to date, is to safeguard it for future generations, because, it'd be irresponsible of me to pass degraded soil on to future generations. We'd be doing them a grave disservice.
So you're talking about a moral responsibility to the next generation.
Every type of responsibility, moral, economical, like we've discussed, geopolitical, everything. Going back to carbon, I totally agree with you. I was shocked to learn that, carbon itself, we probably shouldn't think of it as a poison. Many people think that, carbon dioxide is such a poison.
Yeah.
The only issue is that too much of it is up in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
To bring it down to where it belongs, below, underground, under the soil, we just have to raise the organic matter and the biodiversity in the soil, and that will happen. And it will provide, it will, like you said, it'll become a great carbon sink. It stores 3 times that of living plants and 2 times that of the atmosphere. It has that type of capacity. Conversely, if we let things keep going the way they're going, soil has the potential to emit into the atmosphere about 850 billion tons.
We see this with the thawing of the permafrost and the peat.
Right.
Yeah.
So if nothing's done, the capacity is there to release. I think the number is 850 billion tons is what I read, which is about the same amount of total humanity's emissions for the past 30 years.
Which is going to push us way above that 2 degrees Celsius
global warming
margin before we got to the runaway, what they call the runaway scenario. Basically a doomsday scenario.
Correct.
For the planet. We'll have to continue this conversation sometime in the future, because that's a subject in and of itself. I want to thank Tim Ross, who is with us from Conscious Planet and the Save Soil movement. This started with a motorcycle ride, or at least the current attention. 2,200-mile motorcycle ride?
Yes, sir, yeah. Save Soil itself started back in 1998. We've been at it for a while. It's just that given where we are, the urgency of the matter, and the need to pitch it up in terms of the messaging, Isha's founder kicked it into high gear in 2022.
Sadhguru, yeah.
Yes, Sadhguru. He did a 18,000-mile journey starting on March 21st, 2022.
I've underestimated, yeah. That's, yeah.
To raise awareness, stopped along the way, hundreds of stops to do speaking events, 27 countries. He started in London and ended in southern India. So he really got people talking about this. I think we estimate that he reached about 4 billion people through various channels, social media mainly. And so that's key to get people started and talk about it. As a result of that, I think we're at about 515,000 letters have been written by anyone to various governmental leaders across the globe. So we're proud of that one.
That's great. We are out of time, but our listeners and our viewers on BLTV who are interested in following up can probably just Google Save Soil or Isha Institute of Inner Sciences and the Conscious Planet, and there are some citizen action things that you can do there. Tim Ross, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here, and we want to say how much we appreciate our BLTV viewers and our partnership with BLTV, and of course WCPI 91.3. WCPI is a non-commercial, non-profit broadcasting service of the Warren County Education Foundation. For WCPI and the Focus interview series, this is volunteer producer Bill Zechman.